As you all know, I am racing 70.3 Worlds. Now for my qualification race, I focused on getting comfortable and just went and did it. But this is the World Champs, and according to Mark and James at least, I can't be leaving any free speed on the table. So today, I have come to Silverstone and I'm going to be heading into the wind tunnel to look at what I can do, and you can too, to optimise my setup. Well, this is my bike setup from Elsinore, 70.3. You guys have probably seen it before. There are things I know that I could change, like making my wheels deeper, but whether that would actually help me, I don't know. Bottle setup, I'm aware there are, in theory, better bottle setups, but again, it was one that's just simple. It worked for me. I could get the bottles from the aid stations easily. I mean, how much more could I be saving? I don't know.
Well, that is what we're here to find out today. As you say, you've got a very good bike setup to start from, but I'm still pretty confident we could save you some watts and, of course, some valuable time.
I mean, it does seem quite excessive coming here to a wind tunnel. I mean, I feel very privileged, but maybe a little embarrassed to be here.
It obviously is a luxury. We're very lucky here, but I really believe what you could come away and learn today are gains that everyone out there could also make and learn from. Okay, some will be more expensive to make than others, but we'll at least leave some pretty good food for thought.
But you know that Marbella is very hilly.
Yeah, this is a really good point. Today, we'll get the Aero gains, so we'll start with that as a standard. Then I think we'll then discuss some more practical options, taking into account comfort, weight, etc. But yeah, it's a valid point, but let's focus on the Aero gains today. Right, let's get cracking. Okay, so Heather's on. We're going to start off with a baseline run. So Heather's exact setup for Elsinore, and then we'll progress from there and make changes and hopefully gains. Let's go. Right, future Heather and Mark, going to run through some of the results from the wind tunnel. So first off, can we just chat about this first setup, your baseline setup? So you had one 750ml bottle on the down tube, you had an empty bottle cage.
Just in case.
Just fancied it there, right? A 62ml front wheel, 80ml rear wheel, and you also went for the Metcoda Tronca helmet, which is kind of like a short tail aero helmet. Quite aero, allows you to sort of move your head around without too much aero penalty. Now, the fact you only had one 750ml bottle, which you didn't even finish during the race.
Almost.
It's probably a discussion for another day. So I was quite confident, actually, we could find you some aero savings just in your bottle setup, which we'll get onto in a second. I should mention the testing in the wind tunnel we did at 40 kilometers an hour, which is actually faster than your average speed in Elsinore. But by testing at a slightly higher speed, there's more chance that we're going to see the differences without going crazy and testing at 50 kilometers an hour. We also tested at 0 and 10 degrees yaw. But what we're going to do is, on the most part, take an average across both of those. Okay. So on to the test. So we did the baseline, then went on to test 2, where we simply took your bottle cages off and we put one 650ml Aero fuel bottle, which Canyon's special one, on the down tube. I know that's not enough hydration, but I just sort of wanted to test that in isolation first. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
5.2 watt saving.
Nice.
That probably doesn't sound like much, does it? But that, I mean, if you just added 5 watts to your FTP tomorrow, you'd probably be quite happy with it.
I would be, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's a good start, okay. Test 3 then, we had the Aero bottle, and now we decided to use their behind the saddle mount and put a 500ml bottle in there. So now you've got 1,150 mils, which is still more than you took on race day, so plenty for Heather. Now an 8 watt saving.
Okay, we're getting there.
You don't sound that excited.
I mean, I am. I'm excited.
Okay.
Sorry, Mark, I'll try and channel more excitement.
Test 4, same again, but I thought we'd use a 750ml bottle on the back just to see if there was any penalty for a larger, or maybe, it's going to create some sort of fairing. Interestingly, it was just 6 watts faster than the baseline, so in theory, actually 2 watts slower than our previous setup.
Okay, got you.
I mean, that might be down to just slight differences in position, but we have seen with, or heard from a lot of pros sort of testing, that the one behind the saddle can affect some riders more than others, so interesting. Test 5 then, we had the Aero bottle, we went back to the 500ml bottle behind, and then we thought we'd test a front hydration setup. Now, I'm going to have to put my hands up here and apologise. I did order the very specific Canyon hydration setup that was neatly mounted onto your handlebars. I just made a bit of an error and it didn't arrive in time. So we had to bodge an existing one, Profile Design. Yeah, I love a bodge. It may have affected the results a little bit. So I'm not convinced they're perfectly fair. We still had a 5.7 watt saving on your baseline.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Head on, it was 4.5 watts slower than the fastest setup, which was the Aero bottle and 500 ml behind. But 10 degrees yaw, it was actually pretty much exactly the same as your fastest setup. So I think we probably just removed that one.
Yeah, we don't take much from that, do we?
Yeah, which is a shame. I actually do think what we have seen from a lot of people aero testing is that these front hydration setups are normally faster if they're really well integrated.
Yeah.
So that might be an option for you.
Yeah, it's the one to consider.
Yeah. Right, test 6, we whipped that bottle off, continued with your faster setup, Aero bottle, 500 ml behind, but I thought we'd play with helmets. What are your thoughts on helmet setups?
Do you know, I just put helmets on that I find in the set all around and I'm comfortable in. And I know my position isn't great. Like, you guys have now seen my position. It's far from perfect. So I kind of feel like, because my head's so high up, the helmet makes less of an impact. And also, I think comfort comes in high. And if I'm racing somewhere hot, which I was earlier in the year, I was definitely all for like the lighter weight helmet. So yeah.
What are you thinking ahead of Marbella then?
Do you know, I haven't really thought, because I sort of in my mind, like, going into autumn, I've just raced at the weekend at Weymouth, and then I actually quite liked having full aero, an aero helmet, because then I'm contained and I almost feel like I'm in race mode. So I don't know for Marbella, because I am going to be going uphill for quite a lot of the time and I'll be really slow and I might be out of the saddle. But then I do quite like just sort of feeling like I'm pretending to be aero, even if I'm not. So I'm open. I'm not going to be too set on this one.
All right, okay. So that's good to know. So we went kind of straight in on the potentially most aero, one of the most aero helmets. So we went for the Met Drone. So that's basically very similar to the Coda Tronca that you were wearing, but it's just got a longer tail. And the idea here is that if you're wearing one, you try and really hold your position well, because as soon as you start moving your head around, that tail can create a bit of drag. Now, we actually found another watt, so just a 1 watt saving on your fastest setup. So
and
now,
I was in my best position.
Yeah, so now we've got a total of 9 watts saving overall. So that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
But it's whether, you're happy that it's only a watt on your Coda Tronca. All right. Right, the next test, and I was very interested in this, so we brought out the Rudy Project Wing Dream helmet, which I love. I'll explain why it's interesting, because I think the results sort of show that.
I think this is interesting.
Yeah, okay, so we're seeing, not most, but a lot of the pros wearing this helmet or something very, very similar. It's sort of a wide body helmet. It was actually 4 watts slower for you than your fastest setup, and most of that actually coming from the 10 degree yaw. It was like a 7 or 8
I didn't know that.
watt drag.
Wow.
Now the reason for this, and from my understanding, is that, as you've alluded to, your head's a little bit higher. These helmets perform really well when the head is in line with the body, or sort of like...
The turtle.
Exactly. So the idea, the helmet is sort of exactly channeling the airflow over the shoulders, whereas as soon as your head's up,
it's just a larger area.
Exactly. You're just creating a larger area and more drag. So I did suspect we might see that, but I thought it'd be really interesting.
I thought I was going to look super cool, but I obviously didn't really. When I saw the photos, it didn't quite look like what I thought I looked like.
So now I thought, going back then, we went back to the road helmets, just for interest for you, because you talked about wanting ventilation and various things. So I went for an Aero road helmet, the Met Manta. This was 3.5 watts slower than your fastest setup.
I know you're happy about that.
Yeah, it's still 4.5 watts faster than your baseline, but you are giving away power compared to the short tail Aero helmet.
Okay.
Next test with the helmets was the vented road helmets. We went the Met Trenta, so really nicely ventilated if you just wanted max sort of breathability.
That's my go-to day-to-day helmet.
7.2 watts slower than your fastest setup, and more or less breaking even now with your baseline setup. Okay, so what are we thinking?
Okay, I think I need to look at the forecast, because I am happy in an aero helmet if I'm cool enough and if I'm going fast enough, because I do have this sort of complex of like feeling a little bit like an idiot if I'm not riding very fast and I'm wearing an aero helmet.
Can I give my opinion?
You can, of course. No, it's very kind of you to ask.
I think you should stick with the Coda Tronca, the short tail aero helmet, because there is a little bit of ventilation with it. It seems like it's a really nice fast setup. If you really felt you wanted a little bit more ventilation, perhaps around the ears and the eyes and stuff, then maybe the Aero road helmet, because that does still have some ventilation on it. You're not giving away tons with it, but I think you'll be all right with the Kona
I think
Tronka.
I'll go with the Tronka. I might find the right one, because the one I used on the weekend was James's from Roth, and it wasn't that clean.
That is the problem. We sort of have a bit of a communal helmet bundle, don't we? All right, finally then, I just thought, just for fun, we threw in a couple more tests with the wheel setups. So first off, the disc wheel. I mean, it's unlikely you're going to want to go for a disc wheel for Marbella. The pros will, but for yourself. And also, very much appreciate this is a luxury item, but we're in a wind tunnel, so it'd be rude not to test it, right?
And we have one here, so why not?
6.7 watt saving on the fastest setup in addition, so that's 14.7 watts in total from the baseline. And at 10 degrees yaw, it was in excess of 20 watts.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so pretty big, isn't it?
That's massive. And
then one final one, I thought, let's whack a slightly deeper 80mm wheel on the front. Again, very unlikely you're going to want to do that for Marbella. 7.5 watts on the fastest setup, so adding a little bit again. So you've got a total of 15.5 watts from the baseline and 23 watts total at 10 degrees yaw. Imagine just whacking another 23 watts on your FTP.
I mean, I'm
tomorrow.
hoping to, but not tomorrow.
A 23 watt saving is huge. That would be massive over a course. In fact, to give you some context, this super duper setup, including the deep front wheel and disc wheel, could save Heather within the region of 3 to 4 minutes over a 90-kilometre bike leg, which is pretty crazy. But even if we strip this back a little and look at the fastest helmet setup along with the Aero bottles, we're still talking in the region of 90 seconds saved over 90 kilometres. That is pretty sizable. Yeah, so I don't think we're going to go as far as changing out all the wheels and various things, but if we just change the bottle setup alone, we've got 8 watts. That's big.
Yeah, no, that is big.
There is one that we didn't test, and that was sort of a bottle between the handlebars, which
I am open to that. I kind of feel like that's maybe something that I'd find that more easy to access if I'm using it for actually hydration as opposed to one behind as well.
Yeah.
So
we didn't dive into that one just because there are so many different options and setups, and to be honest, we didn't quite have the time to start taking apart Aero bars.
But I also need to look at whether I can still access my bento box, because that is where I get my fuel out of. So there's a few things to
so I thought maybe
mind.
with the front hydration system as a happy medium, I think you could, if you wanted extra, and maybe you didn't want to do the bottle behind, because I know you've expressed sort of a bit of a worry about...
I've just never really used it, so I'd have to just practice and whether I've got time to.
And I think knowing you, how little you do ordinarily take on, it needs to be
in
front of you.
I need to make it as easy as possible, don't I?
So perhaps it is a case of Aero bottle on the down tube, and then we get the properly integrated front hydration system, because I don't think there's an Aero penalty there. If anything, it probably is fast if we tested the right one. So that is a really important thing to factor in, isn't it? It's just the access and how
if it looks
easy
good, cool, but that's great for the wind tunnel, but you've got to think of reality. And for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Marbella and it's hilly, that's why we're sort of referencing the no disc wheel, although that sounds really appealing. Now I want to go and find a flat course and see how fast I can go with a disc wheel.
Oh, amazing. Well, yeah, thanks for going through all of that in the wind tunnel. I know it wasn't any... It looks like a lovely day out, but you actually do have to ride quite hard in a
I got a little bit of training in, didn't I?
Well, it's super interesting. Hope you guys have gained a little bit of insight from this. A lot of things that I guess a lot of people out there are testing or wanting to change themselves. But yeah, we're now ready to refine your setup.
Yeah, and I think hopefully the fact that I'm not as Aero as you or James, that you guys watching will have see a little bit more. I'm not saying that you look like me. Hopefully you look better, but there's a bit more of sort of comparison of working out what, if you're doing any changes, what you might want to learn from this.
Definitely. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. So give it a thumbs up, give it a like. See you next time.